Dad said, it's just a get-together, when I wasn't invited to my brother's engagement party. So I took off on a solo trip instead. Hours later, my whole family was calling, crying, and blaming me for chaos I never even saw. Hey, Reddit. My family's always played favorites, but the breaking point? My own brother threw a massive engagement party and didn't even bother to invite me. So I said, screw it, packed my stuff, went on a vacation. But of course, the drama didn't end there. Let me back up and tell you how it all started. I'm Lucas, 32, live in a small apartment above a diner that smells like fries 24/7. My brother Daniel is 28, golden child of the family, ex-army, just got back a year ago. He's the guy my parents brag about to everyone. Our hero. So selfless. Always thinking of others. Meanwhile, I'm the one they call when their Wi-Fi goes out or their gutters need cleaning, but nobody's ever writing Facebook posts about me. I've never been jealous of Daniel. I mean, he's my brother, I care about the guy. But the way my parents treat him? Whole different league. Example. Last Thanksgiving, I drove 3 hours in the rain to make it on time. Daniel showed up 2 hours late. No apology, dripping mud all over the rug because he had to grab drinks with an old buddy. Mom hugged him like he just returned from war again. Me? She handed me a towel for the floor and said, "You can clean that, right, Lucas?" That's the dynamic. Always has been. Anyway, last month I was in my little workroom, corner of my apartment where I rebuild old motorcycles, and also finishing a custom save-the-date design for Daniel and his fiancée Hannah. He'd asked me because, in his words, "You're the artsy one," and Hannah likes the whole handmade vibe. I didn't mind doing it. Actually, I stayed up late more than once to finish the digital mock-ups, because Hannah kept changing her mind about colors. She finally loved the version I made with a mountain outline and their initials. So, I'm sitting there messing with the last details when my phone buzzes on the workbench. It's a text from Daniel. "Party this weekend. Guest list super tight. Hope you understand." I read it twice. At first, I thought he meant another party, like maybe Hannah's friends were doing something small. Then I scroll Instagram while the design software exports the file. And there it is. Some girl Hannah knows has posted a can't wait for the big weekend story with a lake, a giant tent, and the hashtag Daniel and Hannah. I call Dad. "Hey, so what's this party this weekend?" Daniel texted something weird. Dad goes, "Oh, it's nothing big. Just a get-together at Hannah's parents' lake house before the wedding. Don't make it a thing." Am I invited? Long pause. It's mostly her family and some close friends. Daniel said the guest list is tight. Dad, I literally designed their invitations. For free. Look, Lucas, he says, already with that tone like I'm being difficult. It's not personal. Just keeping it small. I hang up before I say something dumb. 5 minutes later, my cousin Layla sends me the actual Evite because she assumes I'm coming. Big blue banner. Join us for a weekend celebration. 137 going. So much for small. I skim once and stop at one name. Zoe, his high school ex. So much for a tight list. Me? The guy who lent him $2,000 when his bank card got hacked overseas? Who built the wedding website because Hannah didn't like the template the pros gave her? Not on the list. That's when something in my head just shifts. Not dramatic, no music playing, nothing like that. Just this clear thought. If they don't want me there, fine. I'm not sitting around waiting for the next thing they need from me. I pull up a map on my laptop. There's this off-road trail system in Colorado I've watched videos about for years. Always wanted to go, always said someday. It's 10 hours west. I start looking at motels, campgrounds, fuel stops. Could take my bike on the truck bed, hit some trails, maybe keep driving after. I text Layla. Not going. Got other plans. My phone keeps buzzing. Layla's texting question mark, question mark. Wait, why wouldn't you be there? On Instagram, I post a picture of my bike strapped to the back of my truck with the caption, "Not on the list? Make your own. Throw my tools in a box, pack my helmet, boots, gloves." For once, I don't tell anyone my plan. Saturday morning, while my parents and half the town head to a lake house I wasn't invited to, I turn the key on my old Tacoma and point it west. First time in years, I feel like I'm actually going somewhere I chose. The truck was already packed from the night before. Gear strapped down, gas tank full, route pulled up on my phone. I left early, before the sun even showed up. The whole street still asleep except for the diner guy hosing off the sidewalk downstairs. Heading west felt weird at first. I'm used to driving for work stuff, deliveries, errands for my parents, airport runs. This time was just me, my rules. About an hour into the trip, Layla calls. "You're seriously not coming?" she says, before I can even say hello. "Nope," I tell her. "Got other plans." Lucas, it's your brother's engagement weekend. He didn't invite me. She goes quiet for a few seconds. I thought that was a mistake. Everyone just assumed you'd be there. Guess not, I say. What did your parents say? That it's a small thing. Guest list was tight, even though there's 100 people and a DJ. Layla sighs. Wow. Okay. So where are you going? Colorado. Taking the bike, hitting some trails. She laughs once like she doesn't know if I'm serious. You're actually leaving the state over this? Yeah, already on the road. She doesn't argue after that. Just says, send me a picture when you get there. And Lucas, good for you. I hang up and keep driving. The miles roll by. Flat farmland, small towns with one gas station and a diner, then long stretches with nothing but billboards for fireworks and Jesus. My truck's old enough that the radio knob crackles when I turn it, so I stick to podcasts and bad playlists I made years ago. By late afternoon, mountains start showing up in the distance. My truck struggles on the steeper grades, engine whining, but it makes it. I pull into a little motel just past the state line, one of those places with wood paneling and plastic chairs outside every door. Room smells like lemon cleaner and old carpet, but it's fine. Next morning, I drive out there. Big dirt lot full of trucks, trailers, bikes in every color. While I'm unloading mine, a guy with a buzz cut and knee brace comes over. Need a hand? He asks. Sure, I say. Name's Miles, ex-Marine. Been riding since he was a kid. Says he messed up his knee last year, but refuses to quit riding. He introduces me to Wyatt, a divorced dad with a beat-up pickup and 2 teenagers he sees every other weekend, and Naomi, a grad student filming some project about public lands. They look at my bike like it passes inspection, ask if I want to join their loop. We start on an easier trail. Mostly dirt, a few rocky sections. I haven't ridden anything serious in months, so my arms are tight at first. Then we hit a downhill section, nothing crazy, but enough to make my stomach drop. I almost dump the bike once, but catch it. Miles gives me a thumbs up like I just won a race. We stop by a creek halfway through. Everyone pulls snacks from backpacks, jerky, trail mix, gas station sandwiches. No small talk about weddings or work drama. Just people trading tips about tires and chains, arguing about the best camping stoves. I check my phone out of habit. 4 missed calls from Dad. 1 from Mom. 2 texts from Hannah. Hey, can we talk later about the design stuff? Also, hope you're okay. I ignored them. Back at the lot, Miles asks if I'm camping with them tonight. Says they've got a spot near the river, enough room for another tent. Yeah, I tell him. Why not? True. We set up camp before dark. Wyatt shows me how to brace my tent against the wind with a spare rope. Naomi sets up a tripod to film the sunset. Miles heats a pot of chili on a little stove. Conversation drifts from bikes to work to whatever's next in life. Wyatt talks about finally learning guitar at 40. Naomi says she might move to Alaska after her project's done. Miles tells a story about sleeping through a storm in Afghanistan, like it was nothing. I don't say much. Just listen. Realize it's the first night in years nobody's asking me for a favor. When it gets cold enough to see our breath, I crawl into my sleeping bag and check my phone one more time. More missed calls. A picture from Layla of the lake house all lit up. People dancing under a tent. I turn the phone off. Tomorrow, we ride the harder trails. Morning air cut like ice as I crawled from the tent. River mist hovered low, sun barely clearing the ridge. Miles made coffee on the stove. Wyatt stretched stiffly. Naomi filmed the pink sky. We packed fast, drove to a tougher trail. Longer climbs, more rocks. Miles gave quick instructions. Stay left on ridges, keep speed downhill, trust the tires. First big drop. I almost froze but pushed through. Tires skidded, caught. Somehow I stayed upright. At the bottom, Wyatt yelled, "That's the way!" I laughed, hands shaking. Halfway through the loop, we stopped at a clearing overlooking the valley. Phones came out for photos. I checked mine, bad habit, and saw 3 texts from Layla, sent over the last hour. Things getting weird here. Hannah looks upset. Call me when you can. No details, just that. I sent back a thumbs up emoji because the group was already moving again. The next section was smoother. Long curves through pines, the smell of sap and dust everywhere. By the time we got back to the lot, my arms felt like rubber, but the good kind. Like I'd actually done something real. Miles clapped me on the shoulder. Not bad for a first real ride. Didn't die, I said. Always the goal, Wyatt added. We sat on tailgates eating whatever we had left. Protein bars, apples, some trail mix Naomi handed around. Nobody was in a rush. Then my phone buzzed again. Layla calling this time. I answered. What's happening? She didn't waste time. Hannah's been crying on and off since last night. Some fight with Daniel before the big dinner tonight. Mom's trying to keep people from noticing, but it's obvious. About what? No clue. But your dad keeps saying everything's fine while looking like he's about to blow a gasket. I could hear voices in the background. Music, doors opening and closing. Layla lowered her voice. Pretty sure Daniel's old girlfriend Zoe showed up this morning. Hannah wasn't thrilled. I closed my eyes. He invited Zoe? Looks like it. Or maybe his friends did. Either way, Hannah looked ready to throw him in the lake. Wyatt glanced over like he could hear her through the phone. I mouthed, family drama, and he nodded like he'd seen plenty himself. Anyway, Layla continued, thought you should know since everyone keeps asking where you are. Dad told some people you were sick. Mom said work trip. Daniel just says you're busy. Sounds about right, I said. Lucas, she added before hanging up, whatever you're doing out there, keep doing it. They're running in circles without you. After she hung up, I told Miles and Wyatt the basics. Miles laughed once. Families fall apart fast when the glue walks off. Wyatt pointed at me with his sandwich. Don't go back early. They'll just dump it all on you again. I didn't plan to. That afternoon, Naomi filmed us writing a few sections for her project. Said she wanted shots of ordinary people doing ordinary things in wild places. Felt weird but kind of cool. At one point, she asked why I came out here. Because I wasn't invited to a party, I said. She laughed like she thought I was joking. We camped again that night. Different spot near a trailhead with picnic tables. Wyatt told a story about his kids scoring the winning goal at last week's soccer game. Miles talked about sleeping in a Jeep during a sandstorm once. Naomi shared plans to hike in Alaska after her thesis was done. When my phone finally got signal again, pictures started loading from Layla. First one, Hannah sitting on the dock alone. Red eyes, makeup smudged. Second, Daniel talking to Zoe near the fire pit, heads close like old times. Third, a blurry shot of my dad waving his arms at someone out of frame. Fourth, Layla's caption, this dinner is going to be a disaster. I showed the photos to Wyatt and Miles. Called it, Wyatt said. Bet it gets worse before it gets better, Miles added. I shut the phone off and put it in the truck glove box. Before bed, I walked a bit away from camp. Could see stars sharp enough to cut yourself on. Back home, they're always drowned out by streetlights and noise. Out here, it was just cold air, wind in the trees, and my legs aching from riding all day. I kept thinking about what Layla said, how they were spinning without me. Part of me felt bad for Hannah. The rest of me felt, nothing really. They chose to leave me out. Now they were stuck dealing with it themselves. Back at camp, Naomi was editing footage on her laptop. Miles had already passed out in his tent, and Wyatt was poking the fire with a stick like every dad does even when there's nothing left to burn. Next ride was tomorrow. Hardest trail yet, according to Miles. I figured whatever was happening at the lake house would sort itself out, or blow up completely, without me there to mop it up. Next morning, the trail Miles picked was nothing like the others. Steep switchbacks, loose rock everywhere. A couple of spots where the drop-off on one side was enough to make my stomach flip. Keep your eyes on the line, not the edge, Miles said before we started. Easier said than done. First climb nearly stalled my bike, but I leaned forward like he showed me, kept the throttle steady, and made it. At the top, we stopped for water. Naomi set her camera on a tripod to catch the view. Whole valley stretched out under us, river cutting through the middle, clouds stuck on the peaks. That's when my phone buzzed. Layla again. I answered while catching my breath. It's happening, she said fast. What's happening? The party's going down in flames. Voices shouted in the background. Music. Then nothing. Like someone had yanked the speakers. Slow down, I said. Okay. So first Hannah saw Daniel and Zoe talking by the bar. Nothing crazy, but people noticed. Then someone told her Zoe's staying at a cabin nearby. Apparently Daniel knew. Hannah lost it. I could hear another voice yelling behind her, too far to make out. She confronted him in front of everyone, Layla continued. Asked if he still had feelings for Zoe. He laughed, like, nervous laugh, but it looked bad. She threw her drink at him. Full glass, right in the face. I sat on my bike staring at the trail. Then what? Daniel cursed at her. She ran off crying. His friends tried to calm him down, but Zoe kept hanging around. Like she wasn't reading the room at all. Your dad started yelling at the event manager about the music cutting out. The bartender refused to serve anyone more drinks because things were getting loud, and now a loud crash came through the call, like something big falling. Now Daniel just punched a wall, she said. Pretty sure his hand's busted. Mom's crying. Hannah's locked herself in a car with her sister. Dad's arguing with the venue about damages. I could picture it too clearly. Dad red-faced, Daniel swearing, Hannah in tears, Mom trying to smile like everything was fine. Where are you? Layla asked suddenly. On top of a mountain, I said. She made a noise between a laugh and a groan. Everyone keeps asking where you are. Dad told people you're driving back tonight. I'm not, I said. Good, she replied. Because Grandma Stella just told Daniel, and I quote, "This is what happens when you cut out the only responsible adult in the family." Whole place went silent. I almost laughed. She really said that? Yep. He didn't even argue. Just stood there dripping drink mix and looking stupid. Miles waved for me to keep moving. I told Layla I'd call later and hung up. The downhill section after that was brutal. Tight turns, roots everywhere, bike bouncing like it wanted to throw me off. By the bottom, my arms felt like wet rope, but I stayed upright. Miles gave me a nod like I passed some kind of test. Back at camp, we ate early. Naomi edited footage on her laptop, earbuds in, head nodding to some song only she could hear. I checked my phone again before dark. Layla had sent a string of messages. Hannah left with her sister. Says wedding's off. Dad's blaming the venue for serving too much punch. Daniel's friend drove him to urgent care. Hand might be broken. Grandma Stella told everyone to go home. The last one had a photo. Empty tables, lights still on. My mom hugging Hannah's sister, while Dad argued with the event staff in the background. Daniel nowhere in sight. Wyatt leaned over to look. That your family? Yeah. Looks like a fun crowd. Total blast, I said. He smirked. Bet they're about to call you, huh? I didn't answer because he was right. The first call came before dark. Dad's number. I let it ring. Then Mom. Then Daniel. Then Dad again. Miles tossed another branch on the fire. You gonna call back? Not tonight, I said. Instead, I walked down to the river where the moon was just starting to show over the trees. Cold air coming off the water, stars everywhere. My phone buzzed in my pocket one after another until I finally shut it off completely. I slept better that night than I had in months. Next morning, before we left for the ridge trail, I turned my phone on long enough to see the notifications flood in. Voicemails, texts, missed calls. Dad, we needed you here. You abandoned us when things fell apart. Daniel, please call me. It's a mess. Hannah's furious. Wedding might be off. Mom, everyone's looking for you. Please don't make this worse. I turned the phone back off, zipped it into my jacket pocket, and climbed on my bike. Ready? Miles asked. Yeah, I said. Let's ride. The ridge trail lived up to the warning. Miles wasn't joking. Steep on both sides, barely wide enough for two bikes to pass. One mistake, and you were sliding a long way down. Halfway across, we stopped at a flat section to catch our breath. Wind cut over the top, sharp and cold. From there, we could see 3 states if Miles was telling the truth. Worth it, Wyatt said, leaning on his handlebars. I pulled the little spiral notebook from my jacket pocket. Last night, sitting by the fire, I'd written out a list. Not a journal, not feeling stuff, just bullet points. Moving forward, this is what I need. Pay back the $2,000 by end of year. No free design work. Family discount 25%, nothing more. 2 weeks minimum notice for events. No last-minute guilt trips. No asking me to mediate fights. If you argue, deal with it yourselves. Respect a no. First time. No bargaining. I stared at it again. Simple rules. Clear. The kind nobody could pretend they didn't understand. Writing homework? Wyatt asked. Boundaries, I said. He nodded like he'd written a few himself once. Good. Families push until you stop them. Back at camp, Miles heated canned soup. Wyatt showed me how to patch a tube on my bike's spare tire. Normal stuff. Then I turned my phone on. Voicemails came first. Dad. Lucas, your brother's in rough shape. You need to call back. We can't handle this right now. Mom. Sweetheart, please come home early. Everyone's upset. We need you. We need you to fix it today, she said. Redo the venue layout, rebuild the Evite, call Hannah's parents, get everyone back on the same page. You're the only one who can turn this around. Daniel. Look, I messed up, okay? Hannah won't answer me. Dad's furious. Just call me. Layla. Grandma Stella's moved into your mom and dad's house. She told your dad to shut up twice already. You'd love it. I didn't call anyone. Instead, I texted Layla, safe, back in 2 days. Things change when I get back. She just replied, about time. That afternoon, we hit one more trail. Fast, downhill, all switchbacks and loose rock. By the bottom, my arms burned, but it felt good. Clean. Like all the noise stayed on top of the ridge. Back at camp, I opened my email. Switchback Creative, a small design studio in Colorado, had written back again. They liked my portfolio and wanted to talk Monday about a 6-month contract. I sent back yes, let's talk before I could overthink it. Evening came. Wyatt built a fire. Miles cooked pasta in the dented pot. Naomi uploaded her footage somewhere with spotty Wi-Fi. I wrote my list out again, this time neat enough to hand someone. Another round of messages loaded when my phone got signal. Layla, your dad tried to talk to Hannah's parents today. Disaster. They told him Daniel better fix this himself. I didn't answer it. Wyatt looked over. Still blowing up? Yeah, I said. He tossed another stick on the fire. Let it burn. They started it. Later, while the others crashed, I sat in my truck with the dome light on, wrote a short message to the family group chat. Back Wednesday. We meet somewhere neutral. I bring a list. If it's not respected, I'm out until it is. Your move. Then I shut the phone off again. Next morning, we packed up camp. Miles headed east, Wyatt back home to his kids, Naomi to the airport. We traded numbers, but no big speeches, just nods and handshakes. Driving back alone felt different than coming out. Quieter in my head. I stopped in a small-town diner for breakfast, eggs and toast for $6. By evening, I was 2 states over, checked into a cheap motel with buzzing lights and carpet older than me. I opened my laptop, filled out paperwork Switchback Creative emailed for Monday's call. Before sleeping, I turned my phone on long enough to see one last text from Layla. Your dad says you better be ready to explain yourself Wednesday. Grandma says you better be ready to make demands. I texted back, oh, I am. I picked the Northside Deli because it had big tables, bright windows, and no way for anyone to slam doors or shout without half the place watching. Wednesday at 11 a.m., exactly like I texted. I got there 10 minutes early, ordered black coffee, nothing else, sat at the corner table where I could see the parking lot. At 10:59, Dad's truck rolled in. He marched inside first, stiff shoulders, jaw tight. Mom followed, eyes already wet. Daniel came next with his hand in a brace, looking like someone who wanted pity. They sat across from me. Finally decided to show up, Dad said before anyone touched a menu. After running off while your family fell apart. I sipped my coffee. Morning to you too. Mom leaned forward. Lucas, your brother's wedding is hanging by a thread. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. Hannah's parents think we're lunatics. We needed you here. I set my coffee down. Needed me for what? To fix Daniel flirting with Zoe? To stop him punching walls? He stared at the window. It was my call. I told myself keeping you off would keep everything calm. It was a stupid move. So you cut me to keep things calm? I said. How'd that work out? Dad slammed his palm on the table hard enough to rattle the silverware. This isn't about who did what. This is about family showing up when it counts. And you, off on some vacation while everything blew up. I leaned forward. Family showing up? You didn't even invite me to the wedding party. Remember that? 100 people on the guest list, and I found out from Layla. Nobody said anything. Mom looked at her lap. Daniel stared at the window. I pulled a folded sheet of paper from my jacket and laid it on the table. This is what I came to talk about. Mom waved a hand. Lucas, please, not lists right now. We need to focus on Daniel and Hannah. No, I said. We're focusing on this first. Dad leaned back, snorted like I'd told a joke. You think you get to set rules for us? After the way you abandoned everyone? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't abandon anyone. I set my phone down for the first time in 10 years, and you all acted like the world ended. Daniel crossed his arms. Oh, here we go. Poor Lucas, the victim. Never mind Hannah crying all weekend, me in urgent care, Dad trying to hold the family together. I cut him off. Hold the family together? You mean yelling at bartenders while Grandma Stella told you the truth? Mom gasped like I'd cursed in church. Dad's face turned red. I pointed at the paper. $2,000 I sent you at 3 a.m. from Germany. Never paid back. Every wedding graphic Hannah wanted changed last minute. Done for free. Rides to the airport. Emergencies fixed. Holidays skipped so I could finish your stuff. And one time I don't show up, suddenly I'm the problem? Daniel muttered. You didn't have to do all that. Right, I said. I didn't, but I did. And you all got used to it. Mom reached across the table like touching my hand would erase everything. Sweetheart, let's not fight. We just need you to help plan the new engagement party so we can... I pulled my hand back. No. Read the list. Dad snatched it off the table, scanned the first lines, then tossed it back like it was trash. Pay back money. 2 weeks notice for events. Respect a no. What is this, a contract? Exactly, I said. Because without rules, you treat me like free labor. Like a firefighter waiting for alarms. Mom's voice went sharp. How can you be so cold after everything this family's been through? I almost laughed. Cold? You threw a 100-person party and didn't invite me. Then blamed me when it collapsed? And I'm the cold one? Daniel slammed his good hand on the table. Hannah wouldn't even be mad if you were there to talk to her. She listens to you. You could have fixed it. Not my job to fix your mess, I said. He leaned forward, face tight. So what? You're better than us now. Off riding bikes like some midlife crisis hero, while the rest of you what? I asked. Light everything on fire and call me when the smoke gets thick? Dad shoved his chair back, loud enough to turn heads at the next table. I will not be spoken to like this by my own son. Then listen instead, I said. Because here's how it goes. Follow the list, we stay in contact. Don't. And I step back. No yelling, no drama. Just distance. Mom grabbed the paper again, scanning it like maybe it bit her. You'd really cut off your family over this? I finished my coffee. Over years of being treated like a tool? Yeah. Nobody spoke for a full 10 seconds. Then Dad muttered, selfish. I stood. Call it whatever you want. My life, my rules now. As I walked out, Layla texted, Grandma says about time someone knocked them down a peg. I sent back, meeting over. Things change now. Our 2 weeks after that deli meeting, I was back on the road, this time with everything I owned stuffed into the truck bed. Switchback Creative offered me the 6-month contract after one Zoom call. Pay was good, work sounded better, and most important, it was nowhere near my family's constant chaos. I moved into a small apartment in town. The landlord was a retired teacher who slid the keys across the counter and said, "Don't blast music after 10. That was it. No drama. On my first day at Switchback Creative, the creative director handed me a folder with logos, old brochures, and a list of what they needed designed. Mom called the third evening. I let it ring, then listened to the voicemail later. We hope you're settling in. Your father says hi. Daniel's hand is healing. Hannah, well, we'll see. I didn't call back right away. The family group chat stayed busy without me. Layla sent screenshots. Dad trying to convince Hannah's parents the wedding was still on. Hannah's parents saying not until Daniel proves himself. Daniel posting gym selfies with captions about bouncing back. Grandma Stella telling him online to bounce back into paying your brother. That part made me laugh. One evening, a letter showed up in my mailbox. Real envelope, actual handwriting. Grandma Stella. Lucas, your father asked me how to throw a birthday party for your mother without it being a disaster. First time in 40 years that man's asked anyone for advice. Thought you'd want to know. I pinned the letter on my fridge next to trail maps. 2 days later, Daniel called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hey, he said, voice awkward. I sent the first half of what I owe you. Check your account. I checked. He had. Okay, I said. He cleared his throat. Also, Hannah and I are keeping it small. 30 people. No big parties. You'll get an invite if you want it. If I want it? Yeah, he said. No pressure. I know I screwed up. I didn't promise anything. Just told him I'd think about it. Back at work, things kept picking up. Word spread that I worked fast and didn't miss deadlines. A coffee company hired me to redo their branding. Then a hiking gear store wanted a new logo. Checks hit my account like clockwork. One night, Layla called just to say Grandma Stella told Dad, if Lucas shows up to the wedding, you keep your mouth shut unless spoken to. She really said that? I asked. Oh yeah, Layla said. In front of Hannah's parents. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. By month 3, the apartment walls were covered in trail photos, project sketches, and postcards from places I rode on weekends. Santa Fe, Boulder, Moab, places I used to Google while fixing my family's problems at 2 a.m. Mom started calling once a week. Short conversations, mostly her telling me about church or the garden or how Dad had calmed down a little. No yelling, no guilt trips, just updates. Daniel sent the rest of the money in month 4. No speech, no strings. Just a text. Paid in full. The wedding invite came a week later. Simple card, no gold edges or huge guest list, just names, date, place. I booked a hotel room instead of staying at my parents' house. My rules, my space. Wedding day came. Small church, quiet crowd. Hannah nodded when she saw me. Daniel shook my hand before the ceremony and said, "Thanks for coming." No drama, no speeches about family sticking together no matter what. Just vows, rings, done. At the reception, Grandma Stella sat next to me and whispered, "Notice how peaceful it is when people follow rules?" I smiled. A few minutes later, Mom walked over first. Hands clasped, eyes tired but softer than I'd seen in years. "Lucas," she said, "I'm sorry. For the party. For all of it. We should have listened sooner." Dad came next, looking like someone forced him but still managing. I was wrong. About a lot. You deserved better than how we handled things. He glanced away like the words weighed more than he expected. Daniel shifted on his feet, wedding ring catching the light. I screwed up, he said. Not just the party, the way I leaned on you for everything. I get it now. I'm sorry, man. I nodded once. Thanks. And no speeches, no hugging circle, just 3 people finally saying what needed to be said before heading back to their tables. Grandma Stella smirked. Took them long enough. Back in Colorado the next week, the studio offered to extend my contract another 6 months. I said yes without hesitating. Family group chat stayed mostly quiet now. Pictures of birthdays, holidays, normal stuff. No one asking me to fix anything. Halfway through a Saturday ride with the locals, we stopped at a ridge. Wind in the pines, sunlight on the valley. I pulled out my phone, checked the map, then shut it off again. For once, nobody needed me, and it felt good.
Did you enjoy my story? What a journey it has been. I truly wonder, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Would you have chosen silence to keep the peace, or would you have done what I did to reclaim your dignity? Let's meet in the comments below. I'm so curious to hear your thoughts. I'm reading every single one. Which city are you listening from tonight? If my story resonated with you, you can support me and help me bring more stories like this to the world by sending a super thanks. Your sweet support means the world to me and allows me to continue this journey with all of you. On the screen now, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend you watch next. There are so many more on my channel, each with its own lessons and triumphs. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss a new chapter. Thank you for being here with me. Until the next story, with love and respect.